That loaf of bread in your kitchen might be hiding something, because what we found is genuinely disturbing. We analyzed 7 of Canada's most popular bread brands. We examined their ingredients. We investigated their corporate ownership. We uncovered connections to the largest price-fixing scandal in Canadian history. What we discovered will change how you shop for bread forever. These are the bread brands Canadians should avoid. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why these companies have been deceiving you. Here is something most Canadians do not know. In Canada, high fructose corn syrup appears on labels as glucose fructose. This allows manufacturers to hide a controversial ingredient that has been linked to obesity, fatty liver disease, and metabolic disorders. Many Canadians read glucose fructose on a bread label and have no idea they are consuming the same ingredient American health advocates have campaigned against for decades. Then there is the whole wheat deception. Under Canadian food regulations, up to 5% of the wheat kernel can be removed during processing, and the product can still be labeled whole wheat. That 5% represents approximately 70% of the germ. The germ is the most nutrient-dense part of the kernel, where vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats concentrate. Manufacturers remove it to prevent rancidity and extend shelf life. They are choosing profit over your nutrition. Number 7. Dempster's, Canada's flagship bread brand since 1911. That familiar blue and yellow package has been a pantry staple for over a century. Today, Dempster's dominates Canadian grocery shelves, around $4 per loaf at major retailers. But here is what that packaging does not tell you. Dempster's is owned by Bimbo Canada. In June 2023, Canada Bread, which operates under Bimbo Canada, pleaded guilty to 4 counts of criminal price fixing under the Competition Act. The fine was $50 million, the highest price-fixing penalty ever imposed by a Canadian court. But that fine only scratches the surface. The price-fixing conspiracy lasted 14 years. From 2001 to 2015, Canada Bread coordinated wholesale bread price increases with competitor Weston Foods. Canadian families were overcharged an estimated $5 billion during this period. The $500 million class action settlement represents pennies on the dollar of what was taken from consumers. Look at what is actually in Dempster's bread. Enriched wheat flour is the first ingredient. This means the natural nutrients have been stripped out and synthetic vitamins added back in. You will find calcium propionate as a preservative, sorbic acid as another preservative. Many varieties contain glucose fructose, which is the Canadian name for high fructose corn syrup. Dempster's recently removed some additives like sodium stearoyl lactylate and acetylated tartaric acid esters. They market this as using simplest ingredients, but calcium propionate remains, sorbic acid remains, the enriched flour that strips nutrients remains. The company operates 12 bakeries across Canada. They control a massive share of the bread market, and they admitted to criminal activity that overcharged every Canadian family buying bread for over a decade. No executives went to prison. The company continues operating under the same corporate structure. The $50 million fine is manageable for a company with over $1.4 billion in annual sales. This is what happens when corporations prioritize profit over consumers. Number 6. Wonderbread, the American icon with red, yellow, and blue balloons on every package, around $3.50 per loaf, making it one of the cheapest options on Canadian shelves. Wonderbread is also owned by Bimbo Canada, the same company that pleaded guilty to price fixing, the same corporate structure that overcharged Canadian families for 14 years. The Environmental Working Group rates Wonderbread with high processing concerns, and the ingredient list explains why. Enriched wheat flour starts the list. Then glucose fructose appears, which is high fructose corn syrup. Then comes an extensive list of dough conditioners. Datum, which stands for diacetyl tartaric acid esters of mono and diglycerides. Monoglycerides. Calcium peroxide, ethoxylated mono and diglycerides. Calcium propionate as a preservative. These dough conditioners serve one purpose. They speed up industrial production and extend shelf life. Traditional bread requires only 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, and yeast. Wonderbread requires a chemistry set. Studies published in 2023 linked ultra-processed foods like Wonderbread to increased risk of obesity, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic issues. The high glycemic index of white bread like Wonderbread spikes blood sugar faster than table sugar. Wonderbread contains zero fiber. The enriched flour has been stripped of the bran and germ, where fiber and nutrients concentrate. What remains is essentially refined starch, with synthetic vitamins sprayed back on. The Cleveland Clinic has documented how high fructose corn syrup encourages your liver to produce more fat and can lead to chronic inflammation throughout your body. Every slice of Wonderbread containing glucose fructose delivers this controversial sweetener into your system. For decades, Wonderbread was marketed as helping build strong bodies. The reality is this product delivers empty calories processed with chemicals that have no place in traditional bread making. Parents feeding Wonderbread to their children should know exactly what those chemical additives are doing. Calcium propionate has been linked to hyperactivity and behavioral issues in some studies. This is not a theoretical concern. This is peer-reviewed research. Number 5. D'Italiano. Italian-inspired marketing with industrial Canadian production. Around $4.50 per loaf at Metro Loblaws and other major grocers. The packaging shows rustic European imagery. The brand name evokes authentic Italian craftsmanship, but D'Italiano is owned by Bimbo Canada, the same Mexican multinational behind Dempster's and Wonderbread, the same company convicted of price fixing. Traditional Italian bread contains 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, yeast. That is it. Real Italian bread from a village bakery goes stale within 1 to 2 days because it contains no preservatives. This is actually a sign of quality. Now look at what D'Italiano actually contains. Enriched wheat flour, glucose fructose, which is high fructose corn syrup, potato flour, vegetable oils, calcium propionate, datum, sodium, stearoyl 2-lactylate, sorbic acid, soy lecithin. This is not Italian bread, this is industrial bread with Italian marketing. The company describes their products as inspired by Europe and bringing authentic flavors to Canadian tables. But no Italian village bakery uses calcium propionate. No traditional European bread maker adds datum or sodium stearoyl 2-lactylate. These are industrial chemicals designed to extend shelf life and speed factory production. D'Italiano bread lasts weeks on a shelf. Real Italian bread lasts days. That difference tells you everything about what you are actually buying. The premium pricing suggests premium quality. The Italian branding suggests authentic craftsmanship. The reality is you are paying extra for the same industrial additives found in budget Wonderbread, wrapped in fancier packaging. If you want authentic Italian bread, find a local bakery that makes it fresh daily with 4 ingredients. Or make it yourself. What you will not find is authentic Italian bread in a plastic bag with a 2-week shelf life. Number 4. Country Harvest. The healthy choice marketed with images of whole grains, ancient grains, and natural goodness. Around $4.79 per loaf. Country Harvest positions itself as the nutritious alternative. The packaging shows seeds and grains. The marketing promotes 14 grains, ancient grains, and no sugar-added options. Health-conscious Canadians reach for Country Harvest, believing they are making a better choice. Country Harvest is owned by Bimbo Canada, the same company behind Dempster's Wonderbread and D'Italiano, the same company convicted of criminal price fixing. To be fair, some Country Harvest varieties have cleaner ingredient lists than other Bimbo brands. The 14 grain variety lists whole grain whole wheat flour, including the germ as the first ingredient. This is actually what you want to see. The germ is the nutrient-dense part of the wheat kernel that most commercial bread removes. But keep reading that ingredient list. Calcium propionate appears as a preservative. Datum appears as a dough conditioner. Sodium stearoyl 2-lactylate appears. Sorbic acid appears. Vegetable monoglycerides appear. The marketing claims no artificial colors, flavors, or high fructose corn syrup. Notice what that claim excludes. Preservatives. Country Harvest still contains calcium propionate and sorbic acid. These are artificial preservatives. The marketing just carefully words things to avoid mentioning them. The no-sugar-added varieties use cultured wheat and vinegar for preservation instead of chemical additives. These are genuinely cleaner options, but they cost more and have shorter shelf life. They represent a small fraction of Country Harvest sales. Most consumers see the grains and seeds on the package and assume the entire product is wholesome. They do not realize the same chemical preservatives in Wonderbread appear in their healthy 14-grain loaf. Country Harvest exploits the health halo effect. Consumers associate whole grains with health and assume the entire product matches that image. The reality is more complicated than the marketing suggests. And before we continue to the next brand, take a second to subscribe and click like. It helps us bring more investigations like this to people who want to make better food choices. Let us keep going. Number 3. Pomme, Quebec's regional bread brand with French-Canadian heritage. Around $4 to $5 per loaf, depending on variety. That red and white package has been familiar to Quebec families for generations. Pomme markets itself as prepared in Quebec with our simplest ingredients. This appeals to provincial pride and the assumption that local production means better quality. But Pomme is owned by Bimbo Canada. When Grupo Bimbo acquired Canada Bread in 2014 for $1.83 billion, they acquired Pomme along with it. The regional Quebec brand became part of a global corporation with operations in 34 countries. The prepared in Quebec claim is technically true. The recipes are determined by the Mexican parent company. The chemical additives are the same as every other Bimbo brand. Look at Pomme Ultra Soft Sandwich white bread ingredients: enriched wheat flour, water, sugar or glucose fructose, yeast, vegetable oil, salt, calcium propionate, sodium stearoyl 2-lactylate, acetylated tartaric acid esters of mono and diglycerides, monoglycerides, sorbic acid, soybean lecithin. This ingredient list is nearly identical to Wonderbread and D'Italiano. The same chemical preservatives, the same dough conditioners, the same glucose fructose, which is high fructose corn syrup. Pomme does offer Nature Plus varieties with cleaner ingredient lists. The no fat, no sugar. Added options use oat fiber, cultured wheat, and vinegar instead of chemical preservatives. These are legitimately better products, but they are priced higher and represent a small portion of what Pomme sells. Most Quebec families buying Pomme at the grocery store are getting the standard varieties. The ones with calcium propionate and glucose fructose. The ones with the same industrial additives as any other Bimbo brand. Regional pride should not blind consumers to ingredient reality. Being made in Quebec does not make calcium propionate healthier. Being a familiar brand does not erase participation in the same corporate structure convicted of price fixing. Number 2. Villaggio, Italian-style marketing with European village imagery. Around $4.50 per loaf. The packaging shows cobblestone streets and rustic bakeries. Villaggio means village in Italian. The brand promises to bring the warmth and simple pleasure of a village bakery to your table. Villaggio is owned by Bimbo Canada, the same company behind every other brand on this list except one. The same company that pleaded guilty to criminal price fixing. The same company that overcharged Canadian families for 14 years. The village bakery imagery is marketing fiction created by a multinational corporation with factories around the world. Look at Villaggio Classico, Italian style, thick slice, white bread ingredients, enriched wheat flour, water, sugar, yeast, vegetable oil, salt, vinegar, wheat gluten, calcium propionate, acetylated tartaric acid esters of mono and diglycerides, sorbic acid, soybean lecithin, the same calcium propionate preservative that appears in Dempster's Wonderbread D'Italiano Pomme and Country Harvest, the same acetylated tartaric acid esters, the same sorbic acid, the same industrial additives wrapped in premium European packaging. Villaggio claims to use no artificial colors or flavors. Like Country Harvest, this carefully worded statement excludes chemical preservatives from the marketing promise. Calcium propionate and sorbic acid are artificial preservatives, not colors or flavors. The claim is technically accurate while being practically misleading. The whole wheat varieties have slightly better ingredient profiles, with whole grain whole wheat flour, including the germ listed first, but they still contain calcium propionate. They still contain sodium stearoyl 2-lactylate. They still contain sorbic acid. The chemical preservatives appear regardless of whether you choose white or whole wheat. Premium pricing and European branding create expectations of quality that the ingredient list does not support. You are paying more for the same industrial additives found in budget Wonderbread, just wrapped in fancier packaging with Italian village imagery. A real village bakery in Italy would never use calcium propionate. A real artisan baker would never add sorbic acid. These are industrial shortcuts that have no place in traditional bread making. Number 1. Stonemill Bakehouse. Naturally fermented with artisan presentation and brown paper packaging. Around $5 to $6 per loaf at grocery stores. Stonemill calls itself a fourth-generation family bakery with roots in European tradition. The branding suggests traditional craftsmanship and old-world baking methods. Here is what makes Stonemill genuinely different from every other brand on this list. Stonemill San Francisco-style sourdough ingredients: enriched wheat flour, water, yeast, fermented wheat flour, wheat semolina, wheat gluten, olive oil, sea salt, cultured wheat flour, vinegar, cultured dextrose, no calcium propionate, no sorbic acid, no glucose fructose, no datum, no acetylated tartaric acid esters. The preservation comes from natural fermentation and cultured ingredients rather than chemical additives. This is how bread was made for centuries before industrial production took over. Stonemill multi-grain sourdough rye contains organic sourdough made from organic whole-grain rye flour water and bacterial culture. It uses apple cider vinegar and cultured wheat starch for preservation. These are natural ingredients, not laboratory chemicals. The breads are naturally fermented for up to 12 hours, allowing flavor to develop through traditional methods. The company is verified by the Non-GMO Project. A registered dietitian review gave Stonemill bread a score of 93%, calling it an excellent choice. However, there is a significant concern. Stonemill Bakehouse was acquired by Bimbo Canada in 2016, the same company that owns Dempster's Wonderbread d'Italiano Palm Country Harvest in Villaggio. The same company convicted of criminal price fixing. So far, the recipes appear unchanged. Stonemill still uses natural fermentation and avoids chemical preservatives, but corporate ownership raises questions about long-term commitment to quality. Will Bimbo maintain Stonemill's premium ingredient standards when cheaper alternatives could increase profit margins? There are also limitations. Many Stonemill varieties still list enriched wheat flour as the first ingredient rather than whole grain flour. The breads are more expensive than other Bimbo brands. Availability is limited in some regions. Some products use added yeast alongside the sourdough starter rather than pure traditional fermentation. Despite these concerns, Stonemill represents the best option among Bimbo Canada brands. If you must buy bread from this company, choose Stonemill varieties with whole grain flour listed first and no enriched flour. The sprouted grain options and multi-grain sourdough rye have the cleanest ingredient profiles. Natural fermentation provides genuine health benefits beyond just avoiding chemical preservatives. The fermentation process breaks down phytic acid, which can interfere with mineral absorption. It creates beneficial compounds that support gut health. It develops complex flavors that industrial shortcuts cannot replicate. This is what bread is supposed to be: 4 basic ingredients transformed through time and natural processes. Not a chemistry experiment designed to maximize shelf life and minimize production costs. So what did we learn? 7 bread brands, 1 corporate owner, 1 criminal conviction for price fixing. Bimbo Canada owns Dempster's Wonderbread d'Italiano Country Harvest, Palm Villaggio, and Stonemill. Every loaf you buy from these brands puts money into the same corporate structure that overcharged Canadian families for 14 years. The $500 million settlement sounds large until you realize Canadians were estimated to be overcharged $5 billion total. The settlement represents pennies on the dollar of what was taken. The Competition Bureau investigation continues against other grocers, including Metro Sobeys, Walmart Canada, and Giant Tiger. Only Loblaw and its parent company George Weston have settled. The full scope of the bread price-fixing scandal may never be known. Here is what you can do with this information. Read ingredient lists. Look for whole grain whole wheat, including the germ, as the first ingredient. Avoid glucose-fructose, which is high fructose corn syrup under a different name. Question whether chemical preservatives like calcium propionate are necessary when traditional bread lasted for generations without them. Consider local bakeries. Find bakers who make bread fresh daily without preservatives. The shorter shelf life is actually a sign of quality, not a problem. Real bread should not last 2 weeks on a shelf. Understand the whole wheat deception. Under Canadian food regulations, up to 5% of the wheat kernel can be removed, and the product can still be labeled whole wheat. That 5% represents approximately 70% of the germ. The germ contains most of the vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats. Manufacturers remove it to extend shelf life. They are prioritizing profit over your nutrition. Support companies doing it right. When you spend money at bakeries, committed to quality, you vote with your dollars. This encourages the entire industry to improve. Ask questions when you shop. Where does this bread come from? How long does it stay fresh? Proud of their ingredients will answer these questions. Companies hiding behind marketing will deflect. The difference between real bread and industrial bread starts long before it reaches the shelf. It starts with ingredient decisions. The choice between natural fermentation and chemical shortcuts. The commitment to nutrition over profit. You deserve to know what you are eating. The bread aisle is not as wholesome as it appears. Premium packaging and health claims hide the same industrial additives across nearly every major brand. The next time you buy bread, read the ingredient list. Your body will thank you. But now you know what the bread industry has been hiding. Thanks for watching.